Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be discussing how to write your Jackson DBQ essay. By this point, you should have done several things. One, you should have read the background article in the DBQ packet to kind of provide you with the background information that's going to be necessary just to get a better understanding of Andrew Jackson. By this point, you should have also gone over the DBQ documents, right? DBQ, again, stands for document-based questions. You had documents A through O that you needed to look at and analyze and fill out this form for. This is the document analysis form. I made a video on how to fill this form out, so if you haven't watched that, you need to go back and make sure you watch it and make sure you fill this form out properly. And remember, these documents are going to be the resources you're going to use to write the essay. You're not allowed to use information from outside sources, from Google searches, or it doesn't matter. The only information that you can present in your essay are going to be the information from documents A through O and that you filled out on this sheet. So it's imperative that you've done this. Now, once you have that done, what do I have to do to write this essay? Well, it's pretty easy. I've outlined it for you. It's 5 paragraphs, so it's not going to be very long. 5 paragraphs, you're going to have an introduction and a conclusion, right? Those are going to essentially write themselves, and then 3 body paragraphs. Each body paragraph is going to focus on one of the documents from this sheet, right? So you're going to pick 3 that support your thesis, right? Your thesis statement is going to either be, it's going to be one of 2 options. It's going to be, Andrew Jackson promoted democracy in America, or Andrew Jackson hurt or hindered democracy in America. So your body paragraphs are going to be 3 documents that support whichever one of those 2 statements you made. And again, remember, there is no correct thesis statement as far as, did he hurt democracy or help democracy? I don't care about that. I just care about how you argue whether or not he helped or hurt democracy in the United States. Now, attached to this, there should be a PDF document, maybe it'll be a Word document, I don't know, haven't done it yet. That is your rubric for this essay. So this is the rubric. You're going to see here, it's hard to see here, but you hopefully print it out or pull it up on your screen so you can take a look at it. You're going to see 6 boxes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 boxes here. Each box is going to be, the first 5 boxes are each corresponding to 1 paragraph of the essay that you're going to write. So you're going to see this box here says introduction, and then it's going to list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you need to include in your essay. This is so easy, guys. Each one of these little points underneath introduction is going to be 1 corresponding sentence in your essay. So if you just follow this line by line, it's essentially going to write the essay for you, right? And so you'll have the introduction, 1, 2, 3 body paragraphs, and then a conclusion. Your conclusion, you just kind of sum up the whole thing. Then the 6th box is just stuff for, were you consistent in your logic? How was your grammar, spelling, punctuation? All that stuff's going to be graded in this one. I don't grade for that, but this time it will be. And then it'll give you your total points down here. That's just a box for me to grade. So if you follow along with this rubric and create each sentence in line with this rubric, you should have no problem getting an A on this essay. It's really that straightforward. So now when you look at this and you look at box number 1 and you see introduction and it says grabber, well, you're probably thinking, what the heck does that mean? Well, that's what this PowerPoint's for. So I'm going to kind of go over this and discuss what each one of these points means. So make sure you have this sheet out. This PowerPoint's going to be attached to Google Classroom as well, so you can reference it later. I'm going to tell you what these things are, and then I'm going to give you examples of them. You cannot use my examples. Now, you can use similar things, but you're going to have to put them in your own words. So, what is a grabber statement? A grabber statement is just something that's designed to catch your attention. It needs to be creative, and it needs to be relevant to the topic. So it's got to be about Andrew Jackson and whether or not he promoted democracy in America or hurt democracy in America. Here's an example. Andrew Jackson is the real father of American democracy, right? That should be getting your attention, because most people would say it's George Washington. That's all you have to do. Say that you got to tell me in the grabber statement kind of what the essay is going to be about. Well, the father of democracy in America, and then it's about Andrew Jackson. So be creative there. The more creative, the better. Should be easy points. That's your first sentence. Done. Bam. Right? Only got a couple more sentences till this paragraph's done, and you got all the points. Right? Another example, and this is if your thesis is that he hurt democracy. Democracy in America barely survived the Jackson administration. Right? Same thing. It's telling me what the essay's about, that Andrew Jackson hurt democracy in America. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Whatever. But you'll have to come up with something in your own words that says something generally similar to this. So now, the next point on the introduction is the background information, right? This is pretty easy. You just got to mention the time, place, and context of the question at hand. So you have to let the reader know. You're essentially pretending like you're writing this essay to your little brother or little sister, right? You got to tell them, the context of the time. So it can be something like, in the early 1800s, democracy in America was questionable. Andrew Jackson helped make, America a more democratic nation during his presidency. Right. So mention the time, mention that it's in America, and that we're discussing democracy. I don't really have an example here, but that's pretty straightforward. Right. Then the next step, it says restatement of the question and define the terms. So this essentially means just a couple of things. One, you have to define democracy. And so in that background article, it just says, democracy is when the government reflects the will of the people. So you'll need to put that in your own words. Don't bother having to cite that. That's not important. And then restate the question, connecting it to the background. So you actually do, and this is easy. The restating the question, this should be easy points. You should have a sentence. This might be two sentences, one sentence to define democracy, and then a second sentence where you just rephrase the question. And this will be the same in all of your essays. It'll be how democratic was Andrew Jackson. Boom, done. It's the same for my essay as it is for your essay. Man, just make sure you get it in there and you've got some easy points. Now, after you ask the question, guess what you have to do? Yeah, you have to answer it. And that's your thesis statement. So the next point here, it says thesis or claim. Well, what's your thesis? Your thesis just is stating your position, right? Did he promote democracy or did he hurt democracy? Remember, and I'm going to stress this again, this is not about whether he was in the Democratic Party or, the Republican Party, the Whig Party, the Green Party. No, that's not what we're asking, right? Did he help promote the will of the people, or did he not help promote the will of the people, right? So your thesis statement, you just have to come out and take a position. You can't say he did a little bit of both. You're not allowed to say that. You have to pick a side. You might believe he did a little bit of both, because he did do a little bit of both, right? But for the purposes of this paper, I'm forcing you to pick a position. He either helped promote democracy or he hurt democracy. So an example of the thesis statement. The presidency of Andrew Jackson helped to establish a more democratic America. That's an example. Right? Or it could be the presidency of Andrew Jackson hurt the establishment of a more democratic America. Either one of those is fine. But then your entire paper has to be providing evidence for whichever one of those two positions you take, right? So it's got to be one or the other. All right. So then your last thing here, it's got a roadmap, right? So your roadmap is just essentially telling the reader what to expect in body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and body paragraph 3, right? So this is where you're introducing your insightful analytical category or buckets. Don't really worry about that. If we were in person, I'd talk about that more. It's just pay attention to the bottom half. It's going to lay out the evidence that you're going to use in the body paragraphs. Each body paragraph is going to correspond to a document from the document analysis sheet. So if our thesis was Andrew Jackson helped to establish democracy in the United States, then in the roadmap, I would say, Andrew Jackson helped to establish democracy in the United States because he was the first president elected mostly by the people, comma, because he find another document that says something similar, and then a third document for that point for each body paragraph. So you're going to put that all in one sentence, laying those out. So document A, remember from the document analysis sheet, was showing that he was the first president elected. Since I put that in the order of my roadmap, that the first thing I said was that Andrew Jackson is more democratic because he helped promote democracy because he was the first president elected by the people, then I know that body paragraph 1 is going to be about document A, which is the chart that shows that Andrew Jackson was the first president elected mainly by the people. So the roadmap is pretty straightforward. You've picked 3 documents. You're just telling me which 3 documents you're going to discuss in the body paragraph. And then you just have to make sure that those body paragraphs appear in the same order that they did in your roadmap. So then you go to your body paragraph. So back to the rubric sheet here. So what do you have to put in the body paragraphs? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to put a baby thesis or a sub-thesis. So, right, we talked about the first example that we were going to use in our roadmap is that Andrew Jackson was elected by the people. So then we have to, when we go down and we start paragraph 1, which is about that topic, we have to write a thesis. That thesis can be Jackson's election by the people rather than the legislatures makes him more democratic than previous presidents. Then the next, and that's boom, sentence 1, you got those points. Sentence 2 is evidence, right? So you're then going to explain the data in the chart. And so say, if we're looking back at that chart from document A, we say, in 1816, presidents were picked, mostly by the state legislatures. By 1828, when Jackson got elected, they were elected by the people. And so you would just explain how that, explain that information. And then you've got to make the argument. This is where most people struggle because you have to explain how that evidence helps promote democracy. Well, that sentence can be, democracy requires voter participation, and Andrew Jackson was the first president that got, high levels of voter participation. That's your argument. And then you have to cite it. To cite it, there's no APA, there's no MLA citation. You just put in parentheses document A. Boom, done. Do those things, you got all the points. You just repeat that for this process right here for body paragraph 2 and body paragraph 3. And then you'll write your conclusion, which just sums it up. It's a quick, a few sentences to say, Andrew Jackson helped promote democracy because of these 3 reasons, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Do that. Boom goes the dynamite. You are done, and you can submit the paper to me. There will be a rough draft for you, which will come with a grade. You'll have time to make revisions and then submit to me a final draft. You're going to want to keep that final draft because, like I said earlier, it will also be resubmitted again at the end of the semester as a part of your final exam portfolio grade. Don't let this overwhelm you. We're going to break this down into small parts and do this entire thing over the course of the unit. So you'll have plenty of time to be able to work on this, but you need to make sure that you're working on it at least a little bit every day because this is worth a significant amount of points. It should be easy. Follow the rubric, shouldn't be a problem. If you're struggling, shoot me an email or schedule a Zoom meeting with me during my scheduled time between 12 and 1, and we can work on this together. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.